Well, hello everyone. This week we are working on an acrylic painting. So far we've done some pretty easy projects with acrylic. We did our monochromatic mountains. We did the pop art. So far you guys have done really well. I was very impressed with everything you guys have turned in so far. So this week we are going to go a little bit further in our awareness of acrylic paint. So this week you are going to paint a painting of your choice. I just printed out, very poorly, a picture that I am going to paint with you. You are welcome to use this picture if you want. You're welcome to go find your own painting. I just want to kind of walk you through and show you how to use acrylic paint. Acrylic paint is thick and it is plastic. So we talked about that a little bit in class, but I want to kind of show you a little bit about it. So this week we are doing a painting of your choice. So I drew out these 3 pumpkins. Just with pencil, I just sketched it out, and I noticed I haven't put my shadow in, so I want to make sure that I get a nice shadow on the table. Putting our shadow in there grounds it, so I feel like that's a very important step. I don't like having things just kind of floating around. So if we're going to do a complete picture, we might as well make it look like a complete picture. So the first thing I'm going to do is sketch out my thing. It doesn't matter if there's pencil all over it. Acrylic paint covers pencil just fine. It doesn't really drag it in anywhere. It doesn't really do a whole lot with it. The first thing I'm going to do, and this is something a little different, and it's not, I don't want to say it's not a mandatory step, but it's something I want you to do. Kind of goes against what you think you should do, but we're going to try it. So we are going to do an underpainting first. So I have my pencil down. I'm going to take some watered down acrylic paint. So I'm going to choose this blue since it's kind of the base of my my table. I'm going to take this blue. I watered it down quite a bit, and I'm going to paint over my entire canvas. See, you can see the pencil through it because I have it watered down so much. We're going to take this, we're going to fill in the canvas because this is the first time you're using an actual canvas within my class. The last 2 weeks we've just painted on paper. So this is canvas, so this is a little bit different than what we have been using. It has a lot of texture. You'll see it when you get a hold of it. You'll notice it's totally different than what you've been working with. So we are just going to take our watered down paint after we've drawn our picture, and we are going to cover the whole canvas. You can go around the edge if you want, but this is just a canvas panel. It's probably more important when you do it on like a canvas that you would like potentially hang on the wall or whatever, but it's a really nice touch. It really, I don't know, for those of you that want to take it just a little step further, it really finishes your artwork and makes it just that much more complete. So we're going to fill in all of the white areas. So the reason we do this is when you go to put down your paint, since it is in a textured surface, sometimes the paint doesn't want to go down there. Sometimes you don't want to keep putting on paint. And so instead of seeing white peek through, we're going to see a little bit of blue, which is a compliment because that's already going to be part of our painting. It's already going to be in our background at some point. So it really just adds a little bit of, again, it just kind of takes it to that finished level instead of just kind of really childish. It takes it just a little bit further. So we just want to thin out our paint, whatever color you choose to do, whatever color element is in the background of whatever painting or whatever picture you choose. It's entirely up to you. You don't have to do blue. You can actually copy this painting if you want. I will put some reference photos in the email I send along with this video. Last time, I think that's the hardest part. The hardest part is choosing the picture. So choose something that you want to paint, something that you enjoy. If you like food, you can do a food painting. I'll have a really cool picture of a hamburger in there, and it would be kind of fun to paint all of the, I think it was a cheeseburger. It had onions and it had tomatoes and it had all the different elements. It had even sesame seeds on top of the bun. That would be a really fun painting to do. So we're going to get this done and we're going to let it dry for a few minutes. That's probably the trickiest part about acrylic, is you do sometimes have to let it dry between layers. You can take a hair blow dryer and you can kind of speed up the process if you want, or go get a snack, or go do some push-ups, or go walk around the block, or I don't know, walk your dog. Underpainting is almost done. Again, this is called an underpainting, and it is just meant to knock down that white. And you'll see a difference when you go to start painting and you have this underpainting. It does make quite a bit of difference. Okay, I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. I just used a heat gun or a hair dryer or whatever you want to use. All right, so we are also going to need a glass of water for this, because you are going to want to wash your brush off in between layers. You're going to want a damp brush anyway. We're going to do a few different techniques, but yeah, so you'll need a water, paper towel, brushes. I'm going to give you a bigger brush to borrow in class, because some of your brushes are pretty small. All right, so I do not want a wet brush. I want a damp brush. I don't want a wet brush. I'm gonna start with my darker green. So I'm gonna start at the bottom. Acrylic covers each other pretty well with enough layers. Let's see. I don't know that I want it quite that dark yet. So I'm gonna lighten this just a bit. Okay, and I'm going to come in here and I'm going to start following my lines. Okay, so I'm just mixing my color on. You can either have a piece of palette paper, you can have paper plate. All of it's fine. Okay, so I'm going to start. All right, so when you mix colors, you don't always get it the same, and you can get like these streaks and these really pretty variations. That's kind of what you're going for. You're kind of looking for not a perfect solid color. You kind of want a little bit of variation in there. So every time you grab a little bit more paint, it's going to mix up. You can even just kind of slightly mix it and then let it kind of combine on your canvas. Now I am doing each little section. I drew out each little section of my pumpkin individually, because I want to see them, because I want to go back in and I'm going to have to darken some of these areas. So I'm kind of trying to keep them separated just a tad bit. You can probably see that looking from the camera angle you've got. you can see that they're a little bit different. I'm gonna add a little bit more dark to that and come in here. These pumpkins are fantastic because they have so much color and variation to them. I think they're the Cinderella type pumpkins, something like that. Okay, add just a little bit of water. We're gonna do a few more layers. Acrylic isn't a one layer and done. Acrylic, you usually need to add some layers. So this project shouldn't take you a terribly long time, maybe an hour. But it's, like I said, it's not a one layer and done. It's not a, you have to let it dry sometimes between layers. I did that in the wrong order. There we go. Okay, so I kind of varied each section a little bit different. I will go in and add more color in a bit. Okay, a little bit right back there. Here we go. So I'm going to rinse off my brush. Okay, I'm gonna make sure all the color is out. I don't want to leave any behind. Okay, make sure you have a paper towel. And again, we're wiping with the bristles. We don't want to go against the bristles. Dry off the ferrule, this part. This little metal part needs to be dry, otherwise water can drip through. Yep, that can cause a big problem. Trim in frame, sorry. I'm a little rusty at this, guys. Okay, I'm going to move up to the top pumpkin now, because I want to let this area dry before I start bringing in. Otherwise, you will drag up some color. So again, damp brush, dab it off. Oh, my color or my water is a little dirty. All right, I'm going to take the white and just a little teeny bit of peach, and I'm going to just kind of let it play together. And my back layers are going to go first. Then I'm going to move up to my next layer. Now these might not separate as lovely as the greens. I'll have to kind of make up in my head where the separations are. Oops, I got a little orange. A little too peach. Oops, I want to do the back layer first. Then do my front layer. Got a couple back there. Sometimes if you start painting and it's not dry, you can pull the paint up, and that's not what you want either. Probably shouldn't have started with the green, because now my water's kind of tinted green. Oh well, all right. And it's still wet, but it shouldn't be too bad. All right, so now I'm gonna go to this orange one. I'm gonna tone down my orange a bit. So starting with my back ones. All right. Kind of the same thing from back to front. I'll fix some of that. All right. I'll rinse this off. I'm going to get a smaller brush and I am going to work on my stem. Okay, when you switch colors, always wash it off and then kind of wring out the brush. And I'm going to go to a smaller brush, get it a little damp, grab some white and a little bit of green, not a whole lot. I really just like the variegated colors. I almost like to just roll. All right, there's the beginning of my stem. You guys have a lot of paint choices, so you should be able to choose paints that complement each other, that are next to each other on the color wheel. You should have more than just one. You know, take a couple blues, a blue and a violet, you know, yellow, green, and yellow. You want to take colors that are near each other to kind of blend. And then you get that variegated look. All right, now we can go back to the green. I'm going to take a little bit smaller brush. I don't have a, hold on, I need a round brush somewhere. Apparently not. Oh, here we go. Found one. Okay. Maybe a little bigger than I want, but I want my round brush. Okay, so I'm going to go back into my green. And I'm going to start adding some intentional color. So I want darker in this layer. I'm going to go in and I'm going to add my ribs, because you can see where the ribs come, and then there's a lot more shadow underneath. So I'm going to pull my darker green for that. Where it hits the table is where the most shadow is. Okay, we're going to put that rib in. And then right under here, there's going to be a lot of shadow. I'm kind of taking those two greens together and And they're creating a new color green. Now, does the color exactly match the photo? No. But the effect we're getting does. Okay, remember brush direction. Since this is acrylic, you can see every brush stroke. So that makes a difference. Whatever direction you, that's how we create movement with acrylic paint. With the varying colors and with the brush strokes. And then we're going to come in with some lighter, maybe some white or yellow for highlights. So don't worry about that quite yet. All right, we're going to get that dark in here, around here. Get that rib in there. Now the light source is coming from this way, so it is not as dark underneath like I just made it. I'll have to lighten that. I'll pull more of that regular green down. And then my last one is going to have more green, more of the regular green towards the light source and more of the darker green down here. All right, there's my bottom pumpkin. Clean off my brush. Again, you really want to clean it off, especially if we're going up to the white. So now I'm going to move up to the white. Grab a cup of coffee. All right. So my picture looks very washed out. That's why it's so... But I'm just going to go in. Mostly with white. I kind of undertoned it with that peach. I think it's a little damp, so that's why it's kind of showing through. If the paint feels a little too thick to control, you can always add just a tad bit of water. That'll thin it out enough to move it where you want it to go. All right, I will come in and add the ribs. I'll probably take a little teeny bit of black and make gray. So I'm going to take my smaller brush and put a little pile of white and just a touch of black to make just a shadowy. I could even put a little bit of peach in there. So then I could go through. Now make sure you don't stick your arm in any of your paint either. So this would be under here. And then this would extend up to the ribs. Okay, so you see how that really just, it's so wet that it's still blending, and that is the beauty of acrylic. You have lots of time to play with it before it's dry. It can be a blessing and a curse. It's a blessing when you want time to play, it's a curse when you want things to be dry. And just a little bit over here. All right, now let's go to our middle pumpkin. Take a little bit more orange this time. Maybe a little yellow. We're gonna have to make a shadow color. I could take a little bit of green. That would give me, I just took its complement, which is actually the green right below it. Which will make kind of a brown. May not be a pretty brown, but it'll be a brown. There we go. Now I'm going to take some let that kind of mix in together. Need to get a little bit of this brown. Oh, but I want this brush. I want this brush. bit more on the stem again. That got a little wet, so I'm going to let that dry a little bit. All right, I'm going to go work on my table. I'm going to take my blue, not thinned out with water, and I am going to cover up. Now, when I get to the pumpkin, I can clean up my edges a little bit. But it doesn't have to be quite as perfect because I've got that blue already showing through. So actually have like a piece of newspaper or something covering your table surface. I don't want you to get acrylic paint all over your kitchen table or don't be afraid to hold your painting if you would like. And I'm going to kind of avoid the shadow area. You don't have to, but you may have to wait for it to dry. Oops. Got a little crazy there. Okay. Up here, I think I'm just gonna do, I don't know what I want to do up there. I'll just do a gray. I don't know. My shadow, I'm gonna do just a dark. Shadow color in here. And I want a little bit of shadow underneath my pumpkin on the table. So I'm gonna come around here, and I may have to do a little more blue to cover up some of that, because that might be a little much. Maybe not. Oops. See, I stuck my finger in it. Okay, just kind of anchors it. I don't want to drag that out. I'll have to cover that when it dries. a tough time with this background. I don't know what I want to do. You can tell it's wet when it's shiny. It should be less shiny when it's dry. So I will be right back. I'm gonna dry my painting. Okay, I'm back. All right. I am gonna add a little bit of this really dark blackish gray in here. And probably a little bit in here. Actually, I grabbed the black and I grabbed a little bit of water. I'd love to say the brushes don't have a mind of their own, but sometimes they do. Sometimes they do, my friends. Okay. I'm going to add some highlights. So I want a really bright green. Do some yellow highlights, a little bit of yellow and a little bit of white. Kind of mix those together. come down along the side a little bit more. And the white really can't highlight anymore. Oops, I got green in there. All right. And my background. And then I'll be done. I think I'm going to do a gray. So I'm going to squeeze out a little bit more white. If I have it. We shall see. There we go. White and a touch of black. And I'm going to kind of let it blend. We'll see if I like it. I might not with the white. Oh, I might not like it with that. Oh, should we put a little green in there? Put a little of this dark green in there. Might not like it, but I can always cover it. Can always thin it out with water, but acrylic is nice and thick, so it'll leave a really nice background. Be very careful around your pumpkins. This is where it's nice that the tone is there. I like to use my round brush and get it to a nice point. And like we did with the first lesson, you kind of anchor your hand and follow the line of the shape. Take your time, don't rush. When you rush, that's when you make mistakes. I mean, don't get me wrong, you can make mistakes going slow too, but you're really gonna make mistakes when you rush. Anchor your hand and go around your object. And I didn't like that little bit of paint there, so I just fixed it. Just covered that baby right up. Anchor your hand and go around. Make sure you have enough paint also. Get your brush loaded up when you're doing this. We don't want to look like you're dry brushing, which is a technique, but that's not what we're going for. Okay, nice coverage. I am looking for good coverage. I am looking for an underpainting. I'm looking for fairly clean lines. As long as you have enough paint on it, your line should be good. Your line should be clean. Take your time. Don't rush. Plant your hand, and if you felt like something got out of hand and you didn't like how big something turned out, cover it up. Acrylic is very forgiving. You can fix mistakes quite easily. Just gotta let it dry, and then you should be able to cover anything you don't like. Plant your hand and follow the object. Now it seems kind of silly to take the time to do the underpainting, but it's not. It's worth it in the end. Especially if the edge of your brush was a little dry and you get those dry spots like that, you can kind of see there. That would be dry painting. This would be dry brushing, which it's not my favorite. It gives a great look sometimes if that's what you're going for, but my paint got a little thick, so I'm going to thin it out a little bit. When paint starts to dry, it gets a little gloppy. So just add a touch of water to it. Doesn't have to be much. Okay, pay attention to your lines. Get your edges. I have no idea how long this took me. Maybe an hour. I don't know how long we've been here. It might take longer if you don't have a hairdryer or a way to speed up your drying time. And you don't have to do it all in one sitting. If you start your painting and you need to leave, just take your paper or whatever you have your paint in. So say I had to leave and I was in the middle of a painting and Mom, I can't, I gotta keep painting. She's like, nope, we gotta leave. So it's not a big deal. You just take your paint. Hold on, I gotta fix that. You just take your, whatever, you could take this, spray it down with a little bit of water or a paper towel or something. Just give it a little spritz and put it in a Ziploc bag. Maybe, you'll probably use a plate so that has a little rim. This would probably smear all over, but I could put it in like a Tupperware container. I could, probably a Tupperware container, but I would just spray it with a little water, put it in the Tupperware container, and it'll be fine for a couple hours at least. So it's not the end of the world if you have to take a break and come back. Make sure you wash out your brushes really, really, really well. And I think I'm going to call it good. What do you think? Not too bad, huh? I don't really love the stem. Maybe I could fix the stem just a little. But this was pretty easy. And pretty quick. And I'm going to stick my hand in my paint and make a mess. I think I want it a tan. Need a little brown in there. I think that's my problem. Nope, maybe not. I think the stem got too green. Alright, I have made a mess of the stem. I'll probably let this dry and come back to it. I cover it up. Alright, let me dry this and I'll be back. Okay, I'm back. I'm going to see if I can work this out. Alright, I have a nice, really dark green side. Let me see if I can make that a little bit. No, I'm not loving this. I'm not. I did dry this, so. All right, that's not horrible. And then I have a strip here. A strip there. Okay, now I made kind of a tan that I'm happy with. There. Oops. I can live with that. And paint dries a little bit darker than it goes down. There, that's better. There we go. Is it an exact replica? Nope. Is it really colorful and really fun, and does it showcase that I know some techniques? Yes. So that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for some variation in color. I'm looking for good color application. I'm looking for good coverage. I'm looking for color mixes. I'm looking for kind of all of it wrapped into one. So find something you love. I'm going to add some pictures in, so maybe you can choose from those. If not, pick your own photo, and I'm totally great with that. So I hope you have fun. I hope you learn lots. You could watch some videos online. There's lots of teachers who teach how to paint in acrylic. So if it's something you're really interested, go dig deep. And I hope you have a great time. See you next week.